Hi guys, my name is Nancy and welcome back to Confessions of an Evolving Millennial, where we talk about growing, we talk about evolving, we talk about healing, we talk about navigating life with all its twists and turns, one layer at a time. And sometimes we're just plain out trying to figure it out. We don't pretend to have it all figured out here. Sometimes we're just taking it a day at a time, taking it a step at a time and putting one foot in front of the other. And so welcome back. Today I want to talk about something a bit different. I want to do something a bit different. Someone actually asked me in my DM on Instagram if I'd be open to doing like a Q&A, whereby I ask people to ask me questions and then I record a video and answer those questions. And I decided, let me practice and feel how it feels like. Let me practice beforehand, just get a feel if I'm comfortable, how it feels in my body. So I decided to ask chat to ask me questions, to give me some Q&A questions that I can answer. Yeah, and then it will give me some practice, some bit of practice. Okay, so let's dive right in. All right. The first question that chat is asking me is, what is something you used to believe that you don't anymore? It's a very, very good question. And if you've watched some of my videos, I think you probably already know, because the theme of religion is very, very huge in my life. It was a huge part of my life, to say the least. And so I feel like something that I used to believe that I don't anymore is that I have to belong in a certain religious group for me to actually nurture a relationship with God. And so because growing up, religion or Christianity was such a huge part of my life, and I feel like after going through some of the things that I went through and then unlearning and relearning and seeking God for myself, I no longer feel like I need to belong to any religious group so that I can have a relationship with God and so that I can nurture a connection with God. I feel like it's still a word that I'd throw around even back then. I'd be like, oh, I'm not religious, I'm focusing on a relationship with God. But now I feel like it's on a bigger scale where I really am not religious, in the sense of I don't feel like it's necessary to have to belong to any religious group so that I can be able to nurture a relationship with God. Again, because as I've mentioned in previous videos, a relationship with God is very personal, so you can be able to have it like just you and God kind of thing. Yeah, so I think that's one thing that I held on to for a long time, because it was such a huge part of my life since I was so young, until my mid-20s. And now I just feel like I'm free to nurture a relationship with God outside the constraints of religion, so to speak. Yeah, so that's the first thing. That's the first answer. The other thing that chat is asking me is, what has been the hardest truth you have had to accept in your 20s or 30s? This one, actually, it's a conversation I was having with two of my girlfriends. We have a book club together, and it came up, and actually shared a bit about it. And I think for me, the hardest truth I've come to accept is that being a good person, quote unquote, or a nice person really doesn't get you anywhere, honestly speaking. Because I feel like I really identified as a good person, as a nice person, and I don't see where it took me. If anything, it led me to lifelines that were not very necessary. Okay, they were. Now that they're already part of my life, they serve their purpose, but they led me to situations that were not really things that I needed to go through, so to speak. And I think that something that contributed to that is like that analogy or that belief around, you have to be a good person, nice person. So yeah, I feel like the hardest truth I've come to accept in my 20s or 30s is definitely around being a good person or a nice person, so to speak, doesn't really get you anywhere. And I feel like for the longest time I held on to that belief so strongly. I used to say it so passionately as soon as just last year, like, if you're just a good person, things will just work out. But I'm realizing that actually, if you're that kind of like a good person, a nice person, you might actually end up leading or choosing situations in life that really oppress you, that really make you put your needs last. Because then when you're a nice or good person, in a way, subconsciously, what you're telling your mind is that you don't matter, that other people come first, that other people's needs come before yours. And so definitely the hardest truth I've come to accept is that, yeah, maybe not. It's good to be a decent human being, like be kind, be considerate, be very respectful towards every single person that you interact with. But being nice sometimes has something to do with self-sacrificing yourself, putting others before you, staying silent to maintain peace, those things. Apologizing for who you are or how you show up in the world just because maybe someone else is not comfortable with it. And so I can see how such a way of thinking can lead you to always put yourself last. And when you put yourself last, then the universe assumes like, okay, we're going to put you where you're putting yourself, so definitely that is the hardest truth that I've come to accept, that being a good or nice person doesn't really pay off. The people that will try to convince you that it does are people who are probably benefiting from you being a nice person or you being a quote-unquote good person. But otherwise, people who genuinely love you and care about you, they will actually encourage you to enforce boundaries, to be very firm, because they understand that is good for you and it's good for your mental well-being, and it's important that you learn how to put yourself first. Yeah, so definitely the hardest truth I learned. The other thing that chat is asking, what is one habit that changed your life? So a very good question. Definitely for me, it's walking. If you follow me on any social media platforms, you already know, especially on Instagram, I walk every morning. And it's actually something that I started back in 2019 when I was in the thick of it. And I remember hearing a voice inside me just leading me to find a way to move my body. And at the time I was like, I like walking, let me do that. And I remember I used to wake up at 5:50, and then by 6 a.m. I'd leave the house and just go do a walk around the neighborhood for like an hour and then come back. And I feel like in a lot of ways walking really helped to regulate my nervous system, because when you're in such situations, like your nervous system is very dysregulated. And so I believe that walking helped me to regulate my nervous system, and on top of that, it helped me to really strengthen my mind, so that it got to a point where I was able to actually walk away, because now I started even incorporating some exercise after the walk. I'd come back and just do some exercises from YouTube, and I know that it was strengthening my mind for sure. And movement has completely changed my life. I can see how movement influences how I show up in the world, because like when you're moving your body, there's a lot of you get a lot of clarity. You're able to release a lot of even when trauma is stored in the body, and so you're able to release even some of that trauma. So movement, walking specifically, but in general, definitely movement. The other thing that chat is asking me is, how do you deal with feeling left behind in life? This is a very good question, especially because I've talked about it in one of the videos in this channel, where I think it's titled Did I Waste My 20s? Because I have had those feelings before. I usually tell myself two things. Number one, genetically speaking, I could actually live a very long life. And that is because I've seen both of my great-grandmothers one of them just passed on maybe 2 years ago at 100 years old. The other one, I found her when I was really young and she had already reached 100 years old. My grandfather is in his late 90s. His older sister is still around. His parents both lived for over 100 years. And so, genetically speaking, I could have quite the time, quote unquote, to actually get everything that I've ever wanted, and even so much more than I've not even thought about right now, that is already mine, that already belongs to me. And so I don't feel the need to give myself any kind of pressure. I don't feel the need to compare myself with anyone else. Number one, because also I understand that there's a verse in the Bible that says that we have been blessed with every spiritual blessing. Like, even here right now where I am still blessed with everything, and I am not lacking in anything. And so I believe that everything that is mine, I will have it. I don't have any doubt that it's going to happen. So it doesn't make sense to me to try and compare my journey with another person, because we are all living different journeys for whatever purpose, like different purpose in life. My journey is serving a certain purpose. Someone else's journey is serving another purpose, but we are all, serving probably one huge purpose, and it looks differently for every single person. And so that's why I don't feel the need to. And then on the flip side of, okay, I might actually live so long that like I'll enjoy every single thing under the sun. On the flip side, I could also, today could be my last day. Like, that's also life. Today could be my last day, and I might as well enjoy what I have where I am right here, right now, because I don't know about tomorrow. And that's why I think also the Bible talks about like not worrying about tomorrow, because now what does it change? It doesn't change anything. And so I look at it like I still have so much to be grateful right here, right now. So much to be grateful for. I don't have time now to start feeling like, oh, I'm left behind, or yada yada yada, because there's also things that I can still be very, very grateful for, and that I am very, very, very grateful for what I have already. Yeah, so that's how I deal with that. And then the other question that chat is asking is, what's something you're still unlearning from your childhood? Something that I'm still unlearning from my childhood, I think it goes back to that holding that title so dearly of a good girl and a nice person. I feel like I'm still unlearning, or rather I have unlearned, like that aspect of putting others first, like putting others before me. And I think that one of the ways that I've been able to really unlearn that quote unquote successfully is because of also living alone. Because now when you live alone, you're not worrying about anyone else apart from yourself. You're not trying to consider someone else. It's just you. You're only thinking about yourself, which I think has actually really helped me to reinforce that muscle whereby I also know how to put myself first. My needs also, I know how to put my needs first. They don't come last anymore. So that's definitely something that I've had to unlearn a lot. And I think this past year I've been able to kind of like hack it. And I feel like it has been aided by the fact that like I'm living alone. And so I just have to think about myself alone kind of thing. Yeah. The other thing that chat is asking is, what does evolving mean to you right now? Right now, I think evolving to me is about building such an inner rich life, ensuring that I have found a way to give peace to myself, fill my heart and my life with simple joys, like do things that make my soul light up, and just generally take care of myself. I feel like for me, evolving is so much more about like also creating such a rich spiritual life, because I feel like from just my observation, people who have like a really rich inner life, even when they are blessed like materially, they get to enjoy their wealth a lot more than people who have not built an inner rich life. Like they've not found peace within themselves, so they're trying to look for peace outside, and then they think that if they get this material thing, then they'll have peace, and it's not the case. Like as with anything, and I usually say, you know how you know that like the material world is not like everything is, just think about that time that probably you wanted something very simple that is material. Like maybe there was a shoe that you saw and you're just like, oh my God, I can't wait to get money so that I buy that shoe. And then you bought it. And then 2 days later, 1 week later, it just feels like a normal thing. It doesn't actually fill your heart in any way. That's the same concept. The same concept of a shoe, even if it's 500 shillings, is the same concept with you buying a Range Rover because you think it's going to give you something like within you. And then you buy it and it's a Range Rover Sport. Ooh, I can see it because I want that as well. Because I want it in color, in rose gold. There's a time I saw it. I was like, yes. So anyway, I digress. But it's the same exact thing. If I go out there, I buy that Range Rover Sport in rose gold, thinking that it will give me joy. There's something it's going to give me. Unfortunately, after 1 week, I'll be used to it. I'll just be like, oh, okay. Yeah, it's just going to be a normal thing, you know? So it's the same analogy. It doesn't matter what it is, but like anything external cannot really give you any internal joy. And so it's so important for me, evolving looks like really building a rich inner life to the point that like when I do have all the material wealth that belongs to me, I'll actually really enjoy it and not think that like it's going to just come to complement what I've already built within myself. So definitely, I think for me, evolving is just being very intentional about building a very rich inner life, where I am practicing a lot of gratitude. I'm grateful for the things that I actually have. I'm grateful for the gift of life, allowing myself to be still and to be peaceful. And sometimes, of course, like anxiety will try to peep in, but just like constantly grounding myself and reminding myself, that building that rich inner life is literally one of the best things that you can do for yourself, especially, let me just put it like that, even for you to be able to enjoy everything else that is coming your way. Yeah. So I think that's it for today's video. I hope I actually did this okay. Let me know in a comment section so that I know if I'm going to ask for questions from you people or not. But this was really fun to make, and yeah, I'm sure you got to learn a few more things about me, although I feel like most of the things that chat asked me, I've actually discussed them in one way or another somewhere, Yeah, hey, chat knows me. Yeah, so anyway, I'm wishing you an amazing week ahead, and thank you so much for watching. Bye.